Okay, welcome to the Soul-Led Revolution with me, your host, Yolandi Boshoff. And I am so excited today to introduce you to Rachael Morley. Now, Rachael is an astroherbalist. She's a vibrational sound therapist, energy master teacher, and a breathwork facilitator. And she's one of my, what do I call it? Like my team members on Project Earthwork as well. And I'm just like the biggest fan of her work. So Rachael, very, very welcome here. Today we're going to be speaking about an awesome topic called Sacred Rage. So welcome, Rachael. Please introduce yourself.
Oh, thank you so much, Yolandi. I am so excited to be here today with you. This has been a long time coming, hasn't it? Have these amazing chats together every time we get together and so on. And it's just so incredible to be doing this work alongside you as well.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, so we've chosen the topic of sacred rage to speak about. So Rachel started like doing these amazing workshops and stuff. So I think first tell us a little bit about you and like where do you come from? Like your accent is different, blah blah blah. So give us a bit of information about you and then we'll go into our topic for the day.
So I grew up in Australia. I was born in Australia and I moved over to the UK 7 years ago now. And my background has always been around, spiritual practices, wellness. I've always been interested in, I guess, this different way of looking at life and working with energy. So I started my my spiritual journey, my spiritual awakening when I was around 20 years old, and where things really started taking off. And then for a few years, I kind of stumbled around, lost my way a bit, went a different direction, and then it just pulled me all the way back in when I stepped foot on these lands. Living in the UK, it was something that I was called to even as a child. And I always used to say, I'll move to London one day, I'll do it. And when I finally made the decision to do that, chaos broke loose.
When we commit to the calling.
Absolutely. Like the first couple of years, it was so much around like excitement and I was partying and experiencing life. I was newly single at that time and so on. And then I met my partner, the love of my life, and it was almost like a rite of passage. It was like, right now, this is when the work starts. This is when you need to start your own process and go through the healing on a deeper level and all sorts. So it's been quite interesting. Like I kind of feel like, especially the last 5 years, everything's ramped up with my own spiritual work, my own spiritual practice. And I've gone through a lot of training, with herbalism, with energy work, and then connecting to vibrational sound, breath work. And I kind of sound like one of those people with so many headings, but actually the work that I'm doing, it all makes sense. It all kind of relates back to the human experience and these different facets of the human experience, really relating back to our elemental nature and working with the different elements within.
Oh, and I love that because what I think what I really love most about your work is these things that you've mentioned, like, you bring them all together. And this is for me where the uniqueness come in, because you will have people who do sound healing and you will have people who are like energy workers or whatever. But like in your work, it's like a culmination of all of this stuff. It just all comes together, and therefore it makes it really powerful because like we get to experience all of it. Like we get to do the out of body, but also the in body, right? Like we bring the realms and the physical being all together with sound, with the vibrations, all of that. So I think that's why I really appreciate your work, because it's just done on a different level. It's got a wider open perspective to like just like being human and like having this experience. So yeah, I just want to say that. So really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so now let's talk about the concept of sacred rage. Okay, so this is something that like I wasn't too familiar with, probably about like a year or so. So explain to me, like, and to the listeners, what does sacred rage actually mean?
So for so long, and moving through the different ages and generations, and the patterns of society, we have been put in these places of not being able to fully connect to every part of ourselves, where we might have had to repress certain emotions, where certain emotions, like these deep, these heavier emotions, have been deemed to be unhealthy or negative or bad to connect into. And something that I have experienced through my life is, so many people telling me, don't be angry, stop being angry. You need to not show your emotions, you need to hide your emotions and things like that. And I really noticed like how much that affected me, especially in my younger years, being told, don't be angry, stop that, you need to stop that tantrum, when actually it's a natural part of being human, is feeling all these different emotions. And especially, as a tantrum in itself, it symbolizes something that is going on, deeper within us. So over the years with my practice, I really noticed that, for me to fully embrace myself and fully embrace my work, I needed to tap into these like deeper, heavier things within me, to be able to support the release process. And yeah, sacred rage was just a huge part of that, just tapping into that sacred rage to allow it to move through in healthier ways.
Oh, and I love that, because it's like the repression that is so prevalent, and the be happy, be positive, just smile, just let it, like, no, fuck, we're not dealing with it, because when we actually allow ourselves to feel this stuff, it's liberating, it's fucking life changing. So how did you stumble upon like this teaching? I mean, it's such a cool thing to be able to teach people how to do it. Like, how did it happen?
It's so interesting because I think it has been a process of a lifetime.
Yeah.
So in my younger years, a lot of people actually don't know this, but I absolutely loved heavy metal music. And I actually have quite an eclectic taste in music. I could really enjoy the heavy metal stuff. I could enjoy, techno and trance and things like that. I can enjoy acoustic, but I had this huge fascinating with heavy metal. And I had quite a few friends and groups of people that I would hang out with that were in that scene, and were playing in bands and so on. And I noticed that there was this connection to listening to like these heavier tones of music. There was something to do with the resonance into the base chakra of ourselves. Like there's something about the sounds, the frequencies that they were using, like these deeper sounds, that was changing the resonance in people. It was offering them this outlet to be able to express these heavier emotions inside of themselves. And a lot of the time, like, you'd go to gigs and, you listen to the music, you might move around and like mosh a bit and things like that. But you'd come away being like, oh, I feel so much lighter. And during lockdown, there was quite a few times where Sean and I were, in our small space at that time, and we were both like, oh, we're feeling super heavy today. And I'd be like, I feel like I'm in a bit of a funk, like my body feels heavy. I'm in like this kind of like lower state. So what I was doing, I was putting on heavy metal documentaries. So we were watching like Rammstein in Paris. We were watching like all these heavy metal documentaries, and put on a bit of a song, kind of like stomp around a bit, stomp the body, move the body, and then that was it. The next day, or like even just straight after, I was feeling so much lighter, and both of us could feel the difference. And then I went into my sound training, my vibrational sound training, and these questions kept coming up. We're learning about frequency, we're learning about vibration, we're learning about, these certain frequencies that put you into these altered states of consciousness that support you to release, that support you to heal, that support you to align, that support you to, come into yourself, into this harmony, like into these different states. And I was like, there's something in this. There's something about like moving the body, stomping, connecting to these parts of ourselves and chucking a tantrum, like this frequency that really supports to like move like the heavy frequencies or the heavy emotion and energy in us. And also, like a few years ago, I read this book that was talking about, this lady was talking about how one day she was like just in a foul mood. And she decided to, I think she was like cleaning the kitchen or something. And she decided to get a plastic bin bag and cut a hole in it, put it on her head, put arms in it, and just stomp around and just like scream and get it all out. And then once she did that, she was like, oh, I'm going to get a group of people together and do this. These little snippets of things that were coming to me that have kind of stuck with me on this journey. And a few months ago, a client said to me, Rachel, I just want space where I can scream. I just want space to just scream it all out and then just be done with it.
Yeah.
And that clicked it. That everything into place. And I was like, right, we need to do this. Like, so incorporating the sounds, the drums, incorporating gongs. So like these kind of like heavier frequencies, and incorporating these different things into the session with breath work, with movement, with using the voice, using like growling. It's coming back to that primal part of ourselves that we are not so much disconnected from, but we're not tapping into enough, coming back to that primal part of ourselves. It allows us to come back into this natural rhythm of self.
Oh, it's like that. It's almost like that wildness that we've been like, that's been taken away from us as well, right? Like for me, it's just like when we start drumming and we start doing things like that, it's like it's almost like I remember who I really am. Like it's just like when you move your body and your feet and you're in there and you're like, the sounds start coming out of you. It's just like this beautiful experience of just like, this is me, right? So it makes so much sense to me. I love it.
Yeah, there's nothing more liberating than just roaring, going deep into the belly and just allowing that roar to just come out of you, and feeling that energy after it. I think a lot of these connections, like with sacred rage in general, is this connection to the fire within us. And a lot of us fear that fire. We tend to shy away from it. Whereas if we can allow ourselves to connect to that fire in healthy ways, we're not going to burn shit down to the ground. We're channeling that energy, and we're allowing ourselves to really stay present with that.
Yes. And I love that, because I think that's our fear, right? And I know that was my fear. Like for a long time, it's just like the fire that I have in me, the passion that I have, all of like the stuff that fuels like my existence here and my work and everything. It's just like, what if this all goes out of control? What if this is just like I burn everything down? So I think it's such an important point that you're making there. It's just like when we are in that space where we actually know that we own like how to work with it, like we're not going to fuck it up. We're not going to be like, so yeah, tell me a little bit more about that, like fear and all that. Yeah, I want to get into that a bit.
It's so interesting because my journey with fire, out of the elements, fire is the least one that I have felt connected to. And when it comes back to my astrological imprint, my astrology birth chart, fire is the least that I have, but everything is quite even, between water, earth, especially earth is my strongest one, and air. And fire is something that, I feel like I've feared for such a long time, but there was these connections to my fire in my younger years where I was connecting to that rebellious part of myself and allowing that to come forward. It might not have been a healthy process, like how I did it. And it might have shook a few people's heads. But there was something in that. The rebellious part of me felt free. It was rebelling against the restraints that were put in place around these societal expectations that was giving me this freedom of being able to move forward and say, no, I do things my own way. And yeah, it's such an interesting thing when you are connecting into this like part of yourself, even like, you know, thinking about that rebellious part of yourself. You know, we need to tap into that a little bit more, because that rebellion supports innovation.
Yeah.
You know, we're able to be more creative. We're able to step out of this box that's been created and just go, this is who I am, and I'm owning that.
Yes.
And more and more that I'm offering these sort of things with my clients, and I'm running these workshops, and I'm getting people to have the tantrums. I'm getting them to scream. I'm getting them to connect to this part of themselves that might have been suppressed or held, not just in this life, but, you know, many lifetimes. I'm noticing that my energy is changing with this as well. I am connecting more to my fire because I'm going through that process with them. I'm doing it. I'm screaming. I'm drumming. I'm going through that process. I'm holding the space. So yeah, there's something so powerful in this. And I kind of feel like, you know, it's at the start. We're at this brink of like opening up to more things. But I was saying to my brother yesterday, because I talked to him a lot about this sort of stuff, and he's very interested in the work that I'm doing now. The other stuff, he's like, oh, so airy fairy, but this is so important. This is so needed. Everyone needs to have like this time to just like throw down and have that space, like a safe space for them to do that, and then just go home and you know, everything is all good. But I was saying to him, I'm like, it's almost like I'm the Fred Durst of the finance and spirituality industry. And if you don't know who Fred Durst is, he is the lead singer of Limp Bizkit, one of the greatest bands of all time. But it's so funny because it is such a different thing, and you know, not everyone is open to it. You know,
Yeah.
and sometimes when I do it, I'm like, right, I'm going to get you all to scream today, and they're like, oh, you see the fear. I can see the fear and I understand, but don't worry, I'm screaming with you. Okay,
Oh,
we're in this together. And when we get to the end of it, it's just like, wow, the change within their energy, their body. Like you can just see this glow, this radiant glow within their face, because they're just able to tap into these spaces that they haven't been able to for maybe a lifetime.
and it's like letting go of the shackles. It's like letting go of like all the like the restraints, right? They're like, be the good girl, like behave in this way, don't be too loud, don't say what you don't like, don't express yourself. It's like giving them permission and giving people permission to just go, fuck it, this is me, this is the wild, like all of it running through me, just allowing it all to come out. I mean, I adore this. This is such a cool thing. I'm coming to the next one.
So good. But also there's, you know, we've been told that we're too much. Like how many times have you been told in your life you're too much? Like, you're too much right now. I'm giving you permission to be too much. I'm giving you permission to take up space. I'm giving you permission to be loud, to use your voice, to really stand in that power of yours and just allow it to just come forth and rage. And yeah, it's
liberating. And I just like, and there's like, that's what we need. We need to start there, right? Because like once I feel what it feels like to be free, I'm going to want to go back to that. I'm going to want to live in that space. I'm going to want to be creating in that space. Like you say, that fire that gets lit in me, I'm going to want to be in that energy. And therefore I can keep on returning to that because I now understand what's possible for me. So I just think it's so beautiful because we just keep so much in that we're too scared to just let it out, right?
Yeah. But we're in a time and a place within the story of the earth where we can't allow our fear to be at the forefront anymore. We need to really step and own who we are and step into that power and allow that power to be our guide instead of the fear. Like we're in this time, this space that is so unique, and things are evolving, things are changing, and the more that we can really reclaim ourselves and own ourselves, we're offering this new way of being.
Exactly. And you know what the other thing is that, like you were speaking earlier, and this is just coming up for me again now, about the boxes, right? And like I feel like so much of what we're seeing at the moment, so much of the creativity, and I'm putting this in inverted commas, is like we're just regurgitating the same old shit, right? Because like we don't see that we can go beyond the boxes. And what something like this offers to you is basically being able to see that I can go into the expansiveness of what is entirely possible, and like go and like reach out and actually like feel my creativity from out of the box, right? Like free, like open. And I think this is what we need. We need to get back into that space of like you say, like we're reclaiming. Like that word is like my fucking buzzword at the minute. It's like it's a reclamation of like the openness and the potential that is out there. Wow.
Absolutely. Wow.
Like drop. I fucking love it. Oh, that is so good. Okay, so if you haven't like yet done like a workshop with Rachael, like get onto her page. I'm gonna share all the details with you guys. There will be websites, all that stuff. She's on Instagram, but like you have to go and do this. Like it just like it feels beautiful, babe. And I just want to say I think it takes a shit ton of bravery to actually be the person who leads this like work, right? Like it's a brave thing to do, because you're taking people into the depths of themselves and like holding that space for people. It's fucking brave. So I just want to say that.
Thank you. Oh, you're gonna make me.
You're not allowed to cry on my show.
It's interesting how it all came about, and it like just the nudges that I was having from my intuition or spirit, or these like moments of clarity in the everyday, and just the questioning that kept coming through me around why is this, and why is this, and it's just kind of led into this new modality, and a lot of my practices before were very yin based. It was very slow and quiet and nurturing. But there was something in me that was like, I want to fuck shit up. Like I am being deadly serious. Like there was something, and it could be even my own connection to my darkness. We all have this dark place within us. And again, if we're not honoring that place, that's a suppression. We need to honor this space. And it's almost like my darkness coming through, and it's like, but it's coming through in this healthier way, because it's like, I want to express this now. Like I'm expressing this part of myself, and I need to do this through the work that I'm doing. Yeah. Oh.
And this is so cool, right? Like the what you just said about like your darkness coming out, because like how many people out there are walking in fear of their darkness, and what we've been like inundated with is my darkness means I'm gonna burn shit down, and I'm gonna create chaos, and it's all gonna go to shit, and blah blah blah. But what if there is a way of like healthily, as you say, expressing my darkness, expressing my feelings, my deepest, darkest feelings, in a way that actually benefits me at the end of the day and makes me like fucking like so much more, what's the word? Like it's just like so much more connected.
Whole and complete, like honestly, because we have the light, we have the dark. These are two parts of us. And, if we're focusing on one and hiding the other, living a half life, and there's going to be detriment to that. There's going to be things that happen around like the suppression of things. So yeah, and I have noticed as well, like within this industry that we're in, it's absolutely incredible. There's so many incredible practitioners and modalities and all these things coming out, and it is growing and growing, but there is an emphasis on this connection only to the love and light within us. But actually, I think we're at a stage now where it's the new that's coming through. It's like these two parts we need to focus and bring them together now. Yeah.
Exactly. Fuck yes. And I think this is what we need to speak about more, right? Like for me, this is the thing, because and like, as you know, like myself and Karen are like going on about love, light, bullshit, all that type stuff. And it's just like the more of us that there is that's embracing this darkness, this beautiful fucking darkness that is literally the fuel to our fires to change the fucking world. I mean, this is what we need, right? This is a soul-led revolution. Like, you're allowing this shit to come through. So yeah, so thank you for bringing the darkness back, babe.
I think again we're at a point now we don't have to carry all that heaviness within us anymore.
Yeah.
We don't have to carry the bags anymore of heaviness, of that dense energy that we're holding. Like, it's time to like let it go, and just by doing that, we're tapping into this part of ourselves. So
Beautiful. Yay! I'm so excited. Okay, so cool. So if you want to go and do this stuff with Rach, then please like go and check out her website, and like there'll be dates and all sorts of stuff. What I also wanted to just quickly do before we end, because we're almost out of time, is to speak about just like you're doing some courses and stuff like coming up later, like October time. So if people are interested, tell us a little bit about like the other work that you also do.
Yeah, so myself and Karen Roundtree, one of Yolanda's friends as well, who's in Project Earthwork too. So we're starting to run Reiki and Sekhem courses. So we're looking at opening up the space for level 1 and 2 of Sekhem in October time. So we'll start posting about that, very soon. And this is a collaboration between myself and Karen. We've got over 10 years experience within this field, through different modalities, and also working with energy. And Sekhem, again, is something that has, I think, brought me to the forefront with the work that I'm doing now. It is very much, it's working with energy in the fire element. So it's all about like transformation. It's all about the alchemy of rebirth, of going through that rebirth with your energy, and really allowing this energy to move through you in different ways. And it is that strong connection to Egypt. So we're going back to the ancient civilizations of Egypt, connecting up to Sirius, connecting to, a lot of earth energy as well as the cosmic energy. So there's that channel between the two. So we'll be offering that very soon, level 1 and 2. We're very excited about it. It's going to be amazing. There's so much information that's coming through us as we're creating the manuals and creating the practices around that, and just creating content in general and how we're going to structure it. And we just can't wait to share this information with others. It's time. It's just time to do that now.
Oh, I love that. And I think like those energies, and especially like the cosmic and the earth energy, like bringing all of that together, because I think a lot of, like you said, and like we've spoken already about, like we've been focusing on the stars and we've been focusing on up there, and we're not focusing on down here. And this is again like the earth, the darkness, the realness, all of that stuff, bringing it back in. So I think these energy modalities are starting to reflect the true essence of what energy work is. It is a balance between the dark and the light. And I think that's why I love like the fact that you guys are doing Sekhem and you're bringing this out. And I mean, who doesn't love a bit of Egypt energy, right? And a bit of Sirius. Oh, fucking
Yeah, and something that I said in one of the training course workshops that we did the other day is, we are in darkness before we are birthed. We're in the darkness of the womb before we are birthed. This is where, we incubate, we grow, we are able to gain the nutrients and things that we need before we are birthed into the world, into the light. There's so much magic and potency that happens in the darkness. So much that can offer us in that space.
Exactly. Yeah. And I love that, because I think this is something that was lost to us as humans, because our ancient ancestors all understood working with the darkness, rebirthing out of darkness. This was the principles of what the goddesses and everything was based upon. It was always about the dark goddesses coming up, you know, like out of the earth, coming back into the light. These are ancient principles that we are remembering and really starting to work with. So I just love that. So happy days.
If you think about the moon, there's two sides of the moon. There's the dark and the light, and we hold both those sides within us. We're so attracted and so connected to the energy of the moon. And a lot of these moon goddesses, like as you said, like the dark energy is coming through. That darkness doesn't mean it's bad. It doesn't mean it's evil. It doesn't mean that it's there to haunt you and, you know, and hurt you and do all these things. We're talking about darkness here as a channel of a different energy. And something that I learned a few years ago when I was studying Andean shamanism is that in Andean shamanism, they believe that black, like dark energy, like is pure. So they see it in a very different way to what we've been taught through other energy modalities. But dark energy, like that pure energy in the middle of the cosmos or in the deepest depths of the earth, that dark is actually pure energy. And we can tap into that pure energy of potential at any stage that we want.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Awesome. Okay, so thank you so much for being with me today and like just having this really juicy conversation. I loved it. So don't you want to share with us where people can like get hold of you? Give us your web address and your Instagram handle, please.
Yeah, so you can find me at rachelmorley.com, and my Instagram is at _RachelMorley_.
Okay, fantastic. So I will also post all the details like in the description here. So just thank you so much for being here, babe. It was awesome speaking to you, and thank you just for sharing like your heart on this.
Thank you. Honestly, it's been great.
Awesome. Okay, till next time then, guys. I hope you enjoyed the show.